Hi, this is Carrie from RM Everyday, and welcome to our first video on basic card making. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cute little tie card. This is a embellishment that I printed off with my Cricut machine and glued together. So that's something that I have on hand already. You could cut something like this out by hand. You could even draw something, a tie, a bow tie, or you could, if you have a Cricut, go into the program and cut out a tie by yourself. So it's very simple. The basic tools that you need for card making are going to be, of course, a cutter. This one's a Cricut. It's my favorite of the ones that I've used so far. And you're going to need cardstock. I have white here. I'm going to do 2 layers on my card. Base layer is going to be this gray, and then I'm going to put this white on top of it. So let's get started. Now, the card that I'm going to make today is going to end up looking like this. It's going to be a 4x6 card, very basic, something that's going to fit into an A6 envelope, so I don't have to make an envelope for it. I will be linking all of the products that I use in this video, so that if it's something that you think you might like to use, you could go there and find it for yourself. So what we're going to do, this is actually a piece of a larger cardstock that I cut that was 24 inches long, and this is a scrap piece of paper that I had left over that I just know is going to be long enough. Right now this is 9 inches. I'm going to cut this down to 6. So I'm going to just line it up at the 6-inch mark right here, close this, push down, slide up, nice clean straight cut. So this is going to be the 6th portion of our 6x8 card. So anytime you're cutting cards, you want to do the shorter length first. We've got our 6, and then it's going to be a 6x4, but because it will be folded, we have to double that 4. So I need a 6x8 inch piece. So I'm gonna cut that at 8 inches. And then for a nice, even crisp crease, I like to go 4 inches is gonna be the middle. This little boning tool is wonderful. Cutters are gonna have this line, obviously, because of the cutting instrument on it, but I like to take my boning tool, press firmly, not too firm, because you could go through the paper, and I have done that many times before. So we have our nice crease. We're gonna fold it over. I still like to make sure the edges line up and make sure it's folded in half. And there we have a nice, crisp, clean folded line on our card. So to layer this, I have the gray as our base. We're gonna have our little tie, and then I'm gonna have this white on top of it, and I'm going to put our tie right on top of the card, just like this. So what I like to do is I like to go about 1/4 inch smaller than the size of the card. So this is a 6x4. That means I'm going to need it to be 5 3/4. And since the other edge is going to be 4 inches, I want it 3 7/4, 3.75 is what I'm thinking. So go ahead and cut those. So again, I want 1/4 inch smaller, so we've got 5 3/4, and we've got 3 3/4. So if we put that on top of the card, we can see that leaves a nice little border on here without being too much empty space. Now, how you want to layer your card is up to you. This one, I'm going to just keep it flat, keep it as the base. So what I like to do is take double-sided tape. This double-sided permanent tape has been my favorite so far. It seems to have the best results. So I take my double-sided tape and I just tape all 4 sides just to make sure it has a good lock and it adheres to the paper well. And if you mess up and put it in a different spot, like I just did, it doesn't really matter, because nobody's gonna see if you put your tape down perfectly or not. There we go, and I might just put another one right here since man, once this stuff sticks, it's there. Now, you could measure. I visually center all of my pieces of paper. So, and you know, it's a handmade card, so people don't expect it to be perfect. If there's some variations, it's still gonna look nice, but it's gonna lend more to being a homemade card. So we've got our second layer right here. Now I'm gonna put my tie just on the front like this. What I like to do is use adhesive foam dots. They come in different shapes, different sizes. This is just a square one. It's about a 1/4 of an inch wide. So it's got adhesives on both sides. So I stick to the back, peel off the paper, and then I'm gonna position my little tie area where I want it. Bam. Like I said, you can measure if you want to. Doesn't have to be perfect. With longer pieces like this, I do like to use at least 2. It depends. This is thick because I double layered it. You can see there's this yellow layer and this striped layer that are glued together, so it's pretty thick. It's not going to bend a whole lot. If it were only one piece of paper, I may put 3 foam dots just so the center doesn't start to bow. But this one, I can do just the 2 foam dots, and that's going to work out pretty good. So we've got our tie on the front. I do like to glue these down just because they're sticking up. One glue that I have found that I really like is this Bearly Art Precision Craft Glue. And this comes with several tips. And my favorite tip so far, let's see if I can get it out of here. Just pin it, use the little pin, hold it down for a second. I mean, that's more than what I need, but this stuff dries clear and flat. One thing I do like about this glue, I was running into when I would glue things like this tie to the back sheet of the paper, the glue would be drying lumpy, and so you'd see lines. This dries nice and flat, and so I am a fan of this glue. Alright, then we'll do this one over here. And the only thing is this does not dry sticky, so you do have to hold it for a minute, but it doesn't take long. Okay, and once we think that our glue has dried long enough to keep it down, you could send it just like this, or what I like to do, you can buy these little Park Lane gems. I got these at Joann's. These are self-adhesive, which is nice. I don't like having to glue everything. It just takes too long to dry and it gets kind of messy. Right down in these little corners, put a little gem, just like it was the button of a shirt. And there we go. How cute is that? You've got your tie card. This would be perfect for a wedding for the groom. This would be perfect for someone in your congregation, a brother, just to say thank you. And since the inside is gray, what I do for darker cards like this is you can cut the same size paper that we did on the front, which was going to be our 3 1/4 by 5 3/4. You can cut 2 of these, or just one. If you only need the space on one side, you could tape it in just like I taped it on the front. That's what I'm going to do here. There are metallic pens that show up nicely in this kind of paper. Most people I have found though do not have those, so it's important to have a writing surface that everybody can use. Of course, if you're making this for yourself and you know what kind of pens you have, you could just leave it gray. on, center it visually. If you don't push down, you can kind of pick it back up and move it around. That looks good. Push it down, you're good to go. Once this dries, I will be putting another one on this side. That way, if it's someone who wants to write a longer card, maybe have a scripture on this side and a personal note on this side, they would have the room to do that. And again, as I said, these fit right inside of an A6 envelope. A lot of times I do have to make envelopes for my cards because they are just unique sizes and there aren't off-the-shelf envelopes that size. But these will fit into an A6 envelope very nicely, so that makes it easier. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial about making a tie card. Again, the things that you're going to need will be listed with links so that if you wanted to purchase any of it, you would be able to. This cardstock is Cricut, which is a good cardstock. It is textured, it's a good thickness. It's similar to my favorite, Park Lane, but it has a little bit less of a texture, which actually makes it easier to write on. So I will link all of these things down below, and I hope you are able to make these by yourself, a nice 6x4 card to send out to someone that you care about.